Buying a home is a milestone in life, and if you've ever thought about doing it, wanted to do it, started researching how to do it, gotten overwhelmed with doing it, and started wondering why it's so complicated to do it, relax, because this video is for you. I'm going to give you the realest and most comprehensive guide to homeownership on the internet. So it's a long video and you might want to take notes. I've also put the slide deck that I'm using in this video in the description, so head down there if you want to follow along. All right, let's get to it. You have to figure out where you are before we can figure out where you're going. Most first-time homebuyers are not dropping cash for their first purchase, so we're going to talk a little bit about what you need to qualify for a loan. But if you are someone who's going to pay with cash, then skip to here. All right, let's talk credit score. You don't need picture-perfect credit. Most of the big lenders lend down to 620. Some of the more involved lenders go all the way down to 540, and I've even seen some lenders down at 500. That being said, here's the dirty little secret about credit scores. You probably don't know yours. Whenever I talk to first-time homebuyers, I find out that they're looking at Credit Karma, and Credit Karma is really cool for figuring out which direction your credit is going and getting some ideas for how you can improve your credit. However, Credit Karma uses a system called Vantage. It gives you your Vantage score, and I am not familiar with any mortgage loans that qualify you based on a Vantage score. What you need is a FICO score, and not just any FICO score, your FICO mortgage score, and not just any FICO mortgage score, but your FICO 8, FICO 10, FICO 11 mortgage score, whatever the lending institution is working with nowadays. So if you want to figure out what your FICO score is, you can click on the link in the description for freecreditscore.com and get one for free, and I think it lets you look at that every like 90 days or something like that. If you want to see it on a weekly, monthly, consistent basis, you're gonna have to pay for it. All right, let's talk about income. Consistent income or a job where you have a contract that guarantees you a certain amount of income per year is what's usually needed. Employment is easiest to qualify whenever it's W-2'd, but 1099 entrepreneurs or self-employed people can still qualify. You just need to provide some additional paperwork. Now that we know where you are, we have to hone in on where you're going. And this is kind of a geographical question, but not how you might think. Figure out what's most important to you. Do you need to have a certain maximum commute time to work? Public transportation, school district? Does the neighborhood need to be walkable? Do you need to be close to friends and family? This is going to help us create some circles around the most ideal places geographically where you could live. Now that we know where you are and where you're going, let's figure out what you want. You want a house? Do you want a condo? Do you want a duplex? How best can your new house serve your needs? Do you have pets who need a yard? Do you work from home and need an office? Do you have a nice car and need a garage? Make a list of what's most important to you in the physical space you'll soon occupy. Now that we know what you want, let's figure out when you want it. What's your timeline? Do you have a lease that's ending, a relationship beginning, a relationship ending? How soon do you need to move? This will determine when you should get serious about looking. All right, this is the part where you start to take action. I'm a little biased here, but this is about the time that you should hire a real estate agent. Your agent, whoever they are, should absolutely offer you a compelling buyer consultation and a plethora of resources to help you on your buyer journey. If they don't, they're just a door opener, and you need way more than that for your first purchase. That being said, and just for being a loyal subscriber and watching this far, there's a link in the bio for my ultimate buyer resource website, which has loan info, crime data, home search, school district info, closing cost calculators, and more, and it's all in one place, and it's absolutely free to you. So as a gift to you, click on that link and make your first purchase experience that much easier. Now, back to the video. If you and your agent don't have an agreement in writing that you're working with one another, you do not have a real estate agent. Once you've decided who you're working with, hire them in writing. It sets the expectation for what we or they are going to do for you, how we or they get paid, and it simply asks that you don't cheat on us, which is fair. All right, step 6, receive your home search. Look, I know you love looking at real estate on Zillow. That's awesome, and there's nothing wrong with that on its own. The problem is that Zillow, at least the website, is not a real estate company. Zillow is a real estate marketing firm. And the reason it's free for you to use is because they are desperately trying to sell your contact information to a myriad of different vendors. In addition to that, their information, particularly the Zestimate, is often wildly wrong. So instead of using a third-party platform like this, let your real estate agent set you up on the multiple listing service, which is the software we, as real estate agents, use to advertise listings to one another. So it's way more specific and way more accurate. Those aren't real estate websites. The inventory isn't even accurate. Use your agent's portal. All right, let's talk about some things not to do. I think we covered the ZillowRealtor.com thing. Stop calling yard signs. The sign in the yard rings the agent who represents the seller, and it's their job, their duty, their fiduciary duty to serve the seller's interests and not yours. But my dad said I'd get a discount if I worked directly with the listing agent. Two things. If you were a defendant in court, do you think you'd get a better judgment if you didn't hire your own attorney and just worked directly with the plaintiff's attorney? No? Same here. You're not likely going to end up in a better situation by not having your own representation, financially or otherwise. Two, you're not getting a discount by working directly with the listing agent. I'd explain the logistics in the background, but the bottom line is that that's just not how it works. Next, stop going to new construction neighborhoods on your own. The friendly representative who works at the model home of the builder works for the builder. The builder signs their checks, and that's who their loyalties are with. Don't start signing legally binding documents at the model home without a pair of professional eyes who represent you looking over the terms. Finally, stop going to open houses. Open houses are for unrepresented buyers who have a whole lot of time and not a whole lot of motivation. Schedule private showings with your real estate agent. It's sort of like being given the choice between a fully equipped limousine or a school bus with no air conditioning. The open house is the school bus. The private showings are the limo. Always choose the limo. All right, step 7, let's go see some houses. So when you find a few properties you'd like to see, your agent will request the showing from either the listing agent or a showing service and wait for acceptance. Once accepted, your agent will meet you at the house or the houses and you'll walk through and see the house. This part is the most important part. You must give your agent feedback. Too often, buyers end up sneaking off to a quiet corner of the house and whispering to one another about the worn carpet or the bad paint color. This doesn't help anyone. Tell your agent, we're on your side. It's not our listing, and we didn't build or decorate the house. We need to know what you like and dislike so we can make better choices with future showings and make more efficient use of your time. Once you've found the one, it's time to make an offer. And when you make an offer, the terms might be accepted by the seller, rejected by the seller, or the seller may counteroffer. Counteroffers are the most common. Sellers will often communicate that they like certain terms of the offer, but they want to change a thing or two. So this is where your agent will consult you and negotiate on your behalf. Assuming that you and the seller are able to come to terms, congratulations, you have an accepted offer. The offer gets executed and you're in contract. So step 9, here's where you start dishing out some cash. But listen closely, most of this money is actually refundable. The first thing you'll pay is called earnest money. This is the money that you pay to the title company or the closing company that shows your earnest intent to purchase the house. Think of it like a deposit. It's very common for this deposit to be about 1% of the sales price. So on a $300,000 house, that would be about $3,000. Earnest money is not technically required in a sales contract, but your offer is unlikely to be taken seriously without it, and I've actually never seen an offer accepted without an earnest money deposit. The second payment is something called option money, and this fee pays for something called the termination option period. This is the money you pay the seller for the unrestricted right to back out of the contract for any reason for a specified duration of time, and I mean any reason. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the house. Your dog could get sick, Mercury could be in retrograde, literally anything. If you decide not to buy the house during that window, you can back out and all you lose is the option money, which is usually somewhere between $100 up to $500 and even higher in certain circumstances. What's cool about both of these fees, the earnest money and the option money, is that you get them back at closing as long as you don't default on the contract. The final fee that's due around this time is the inspection fee, which is the cost of hiring a licensed third-party inspector to comb through the property and point out any major potential issues or hazards. Inspections are not required, but highly recommended. An inspection ranges anywhere between $350 on the low end all the way up to $1,000 if you're adding on special modifiers like sewer line inspections, sprinkler inspections, pool and spa, etc. These inspections can be used as a negotiation tool. If you offered full price on the house, but it needs a brand new HVAC system, this is a great opportunity to get some money off or to get some credits. Not all licensed inspectors are built the same, even though they had to go through similar certifications, so listen to your agent's suggestions on what kind of inspectors to use. My final point here is that everything is deficient, okay? Whenever you look at an inspection report, you're gonna see these 4 delineations. It was either inspected, not present, or deficient. And you are going to see 60 pages of deficient, and you're gonna think the house needs to be bulldozed. In all likelihood, it doesn't need to be bulldozed. This is kind of an exercise in covering your, if you're an inspector. If the doorknob jiggles, it's deficient. If the door doesn't have one of those things on the back, it's deficient. My suggestion is that you should show up to the last hour of your inspector's inspection window, which is usually 3 or 4 hours, depending on the size of the house, and walk through the house with the inspector so they can explain the important parts of the inspection to you. Step 11 is to negotiate repairs if needed. The if needed is actually a pretty important part. In most cases, specifically with a pre-owned home, you're really looking for structural issues. Is the house going to continue standing for a long time? That's roof and foundation. Mechanical systems, those are the systems of the house that provide comfort and convenience, like the HVAC and the water heater. Safety issues like the presence of asbestos, lead paint, radon gas, and things like that. And finally, major hazards like serious termite damage, water damage risks, faulty plumbing connections, and fire risks like an improperly installed electrical panel. What you're not looking for is paint color preferences, stuff that's not up to code, stuff that isn't broken but is just unideal or old, and your typical wear and tear like squeaky hinges and wiggly doorknobs. So once you and your agent decide on what repairs you need, we can address these repairs in a few different ways. One, we can simply ask the seller to repair the items, which is my least favorite option because the seller really has no incentive to have the repairs done well or to do a good job with the repairs. We can ask for a price reduction for the amount of the repairs. This is also kind of dumb because assuming you're getting a loan, reducing the price by the repair amount gets your repairs paid for over the next 15 to 30 years, whatever the duration of your loan is. And it gets no money in your pocket right now. Next, we can ask the seller for a credit at closing. This is money that offsets the amount that we have to bring to closing, and this is my favorite option because it keeps money in your pocket now, so you can do those repairs right away, the correct way, with whatever contractor you choose as soon as you own the home. Finally, for less serious repair items, we can ask for stuff. For example, hey, all of your sprinkler heads are broken, but leave the stainless fridge and we'll call it good. Okay, take a deep breath because we're at the final hurdles, the appraisal and the clear to close. The appraisal is the process where your lender sends a licensed appraiser to the property to make sure it's worth what you're offering for it. If you offered $400,000 for a house that the appraiser deems is only worth $300,000, we're going to have a pretty significant issue. This type of disparity is pretty uncommon, but if a problem does come up, your agent will help you navigate it. Finally, once the home is appraised, we just wait for your lender to give the final thumbs up that you're ready to close on the property. Okay, this is the last step. You go to the title company on closing day, sign your docs, bring your closing funds as a certified check or a cashier's check. You can sometimes wire the money directly to the title company, though make sure that you're wiring it to the right place. Wire fraud scams are rampant in real estate transactions, and I've been a part of some horror stories. Now, the house isn't quite yours whenever you finish signing. You have to wait for the lender to send the money to the title company, which usually takes 1 or 2 hours. Once the title company has received the money, you are officially closed and funded, and you, my friends, are homeowners. Folks, that was a lot of material, I know. And if I'm being honest, there's stuff I left out. This process is lengthy and has a lot of moving parts, but if you've got the right people in your corner and the right information, you're going to be in great shape. Thank you so much for sticking with me for the full video. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so. Drop your questions in the comments. I'm reading and responding to all of them. And don't forget to take advantage of those free resources in the comments as well. YouTube thinks that you'll like this one next, so I'll see you over there.